What do you guys make of Nintendo suing Palworld for patent violation? How do you see that mattering compared to a trademark or copyright violation? We kind of suspected something would happen between Nintendo and the creators of Palworld, bearing in mind the similarities. But then again, are there really truly original ideas in gaming at this point? And is the concept of actually going after the developers for patent violations as opposed for trademark or copyright violations in some way more morally questionable? John, what do you think about this?
Oh, man. Wow, this is such a... So I think there's been a lot of extreme reactions on both sides of this coin from people. There's the people that are angry for the things that have happened with Pokemon over the years that are taking their anger out on them by propping up this game. But I also feel like it's pretty darn obvious to me that there's definitely things about Palworld that are perhaps a little bit, they're steering a little too close to the sun, if you will, where it's like, oh yeah, clearly I'm not surprised that Nintendo would go after them for this. And it's the fact that it happened all these months later that makes me think that they must actually have something solid, right? You don't jump into these lawsuits super quick, feet first, right away, unless you actually have built up a case. And I suspect that they have built up something. I don't actually think that there's been this sort of doom and gloom that, if Nintendo does this, it's going to destroy games forever and ever, and nobody will be able to make anything again. And I think that's just nonsense. And I think that this is just a very specific case of a company that has potentially crossed a line. We'll see if that's the case. And Nintendo is exercising their rights as they do. Whether I like that or not isn't really important here. I don't like lawsuits.
Oh, it is within the confines of DF Direct Weekly.
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't like seeing this kind of stuff happen in the industry, but I understand why it might happen, I would say.
Right.
And the only thing I have to laugh at, though, is there's a not insignificant number of people that are like, well, if Nintendo just delivered what fans really wanted, we wouldn't need this in the first place, the Palworld's existence. And I'm like, Palworld is literally just Ark Survival. It is a survival game with Pokemon looking stuff in it. That is all it is. There is nothing here. Like, do people really want Pokemon to become Ark Survival Evolved? I mean, maybe there's a lot of people
seemingly do.
I guess. But like, they're never going to do that.
I think it's perfectly viable for there to be an alternative game that is kind of more geared towards survival, and that's kind of why the whole patent thing is slightly disturbing to me, because the game is different.
The game is different, but there's things in there that are clearly not.
Should we be able to patent gameplay mechanics in general? I mean, are there patents for, like, for example, dolly zooms in movies? Like,
no,
does someone own that?
The famous one is the patent for the Nemesis system.
For the what?
That one.
Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah. The Nemesis system.
I was actually thinking of the loading screen mini games that Namco patented that has since run out.
But that's also like, I don't think you should be able to patent a gameplay system.
I do agree with that, though. I think that you're right. Doing patenting specific gameplay concepts is not cool, and I don't want to see more of that.
Let's go back to the Palworld launch and the discourse there, where people were reverse engineering the game and bringing out the models and comparing them to Pokemon models and seeing, whoa, this is like virtually identical.
Yeah.
In that scenario, I would be considering Nintendo would have pursued a copyright claim. They don't have a patent on a 3D wireframe model, do they? So the conclusion must be that they couldn't pursue them on copyright grounds.
So yeah,
I think if we're going into patent territory for a game that is actually very different to Pokemon, then that's let's just say I think the people are going to be following this court case with much interest, Palpatine style. Any thoughts, Alex?
Whoever wins, we lose. I'll follow this. I also don't want Nintendo to win because I don't like the idea of patented gameplay design in any capacity. I think it's great that you can riff off an older game and really change it or improve it. Even just like one mechanic that is like lifted wholesale. I think that's great for games. So I don't want them to win. That's for certain.
Yeah, I actually, when I answered that, I actually had forgotten, wasn't 100% clear on what they had patented or what they're going after. But if it is indeed gameplay design, then yeah, I definitely have much more of an issue with that.